Now we're going to talk about the importance of breathing, right? We all do it. It's vital, of course, to our existence and life. And we're going to talk about how we're able to manipulate our breathing to assist with our regulatory processes and assist with regulating us when we're in a dysregulated state. So a very simple way that I like to think about this and explain this is, again, when we talked about our sympathetic and parasympathetic systems today, one of the things, and one thing that research shows, is that something that can be helpful to increase regulation is through increasing the amount of exhalation we let out in a breathing pattern. And I'll demonstrate what that means. But the idea is behind that, as we've learned tonight, the parasympathetic nervous system is the relaxation system. And so when we are in a parasympathetic state, our exhalations tend to be longer, our heart rate tends to be slower. The system just tends to be when we're more relaxed because we're not in a state of alert, which is our sympathetic nervous system on. There's a problem, something feels unsafe, whatever that might be. And so heart rate increases, inhalation increases into short, choppy breaths. You think about getting ready for fighting, running, those kinds of things. So protective kind of stances of like, okay, I got to get my body ready to fight, essentially. So, as far as trying to work with the dysregulation of our sympathetic nervous system. So if we're in that state, we're feeling really overwhelmed by something, or one of the main things that we can do, if we can bring our awareness to it, is focusing in on our breath. And it doesn't require us to take on any special breath work, any special script for breath work. All we really want to try and do is increase the number associated with our exhalation, and that it's higher than the number for our inhalation. And again, I'll demonstrate what that means. So I'm going to breathe in, right? So that was 5. We want to try to make the number that we count for the exhalation longer by at least 4 or 5, more if we can. Don't want to push it though either, right? Doing what feels comfortable for us, but just really trying to focus, if we're able at first, when we breathe out, only to get the count by like 3 more, 2 more, that's good. It's a good starting point. You start where you're at. So again, breathing in, I'm going to do this because I'm going to keep talking, but we're going to count how long it takes. Let's say you breathe in for 7, and then I exhale, and let's say it takes 10, right? That's what we want. And that is going to help with working with that dysregulation that we've been feeling. So I guess the point here really is, again, as much as we have to breathe, right, for life, like I said, that we have some control and a control mechanism. If we can, again, bring awareness to it and elicit awareness and some control in the moment to it to some degree, that can help shift our system in a really physiological way. And so just reminding ourselves that we have that tool in our back pocket. Again, and they don't say this slightly, that like these skills are always easy to employ or to think about. There's a lot going on, often a lot of stress, a lot of things happening. But if we're able to, again, increase that awareness to say, oh, this doesn't require special tools, like I said, a script, it doesn't require any of that. And so we can just hold the awareness for, let me check in with my breathing right now. Let me notice, am I taking really short, choppy breaths? Am I not focusing on trying to take deeper breaths, which we're normally not, again, in that state of heightened dysregulation? So just if my brain can for a moment just consider that is a step ahead of the game as far as really being able to approach whatever the circumstance or situation is in a better way than maybe you have been able to in the past. So encouraging That's a good starting point for breath work. The next thing I'm going to focus on is something that is a little more structured for breathing and breathing exercises. Still fairly simplistic and hopefully something that as you get used to it, you're able to remember and memorize. So what this one is it's still counting breaths, or the amount, the length of breaths. What it is we're inhaling for a count of 4, holding for a count of 7, and exhaling for a count of 8. And so this accomplishes similar to what I was talking about before, but with that also holding piece of the 7 count, actually I wouldn't say it's better than just focusing on the inhalation and exhalation count, but is different and could work a little more efficiently and quickly. It may not. Again, everybody has what works best for them, and it takes a process of navigating what that is. And then that looks different, potentially, certain circumstances or certain times and situations than others. So I'm going to demonstrate. So I'm going to breathe in for the count of 4, hold for 7, and exhale for 8. So, and the idea is if you're able to implement more of this kind of work and this kind of focus into your everyday life, which is the hope, and the kind of recommendation as far as focusing on breathing and this as a dysregulation tool, is that it's something that we're utilizing and trying to work with every day to some degree, right? Not even just in moments of dysregulation, but in moments when, I'm feeling okay, but let me try this out. Let me just practice, right? It's really this idea of when we're working out and going to the gym and trying to, let's say, lift weights, and we want to get better, right? We want to improve at what we're doing potentially. And so that's only going to help, right? That the more we go to the gym, the more that we're able to be dedicated to doing that and follow through on whatever the routines are that are helpful for our physical body. The same is true for these kinds of coping skills that we're talking about. The more that we're able to engage in them and utilize them, the easier they're going to be to access when we are in moments of real difficulty. So that's also an important highlight. So I encourage you to try these if they feel right. Again, it really is about honoring what feels right for you in your body. There's no expectation that these are things that you have to do, just kind of recommendations and ideas as to what is out there that sometimes can be helpful. So with that, like I mentioned, they will be posted on the website. Obviously, if you have any questions or feedback, please feel free to share. Thanks so much.